A club from across the country, a club from across the globe. Two organizations on opposite sides of the Pacific have made their way to the Sunshine State. We're just north of downtown Sarasota in Bradenton at the IMG Academy. It's time for another matchup at the Generation Adidas Cup. LAFC and Ulsan FC meets as they continue to vie for this trophy. It's a must-win matchup, and either side has aspirations of lifting this at the end of the week. AJ Ricketts, former MLS striker Kalen Carr, pleasure to have you alongside us once more. Partner, let's take a look at the starting 11th first for LAFC.
Yeah, coming out in a 4-3-3 it looks like, and this LAFC team is going to try to keep possession when they win the ball. Can they go quickly in transition? Coming off a disappointing result as well on match day one, so have to come out here, put that behind them, and come out in the front foot.
Meanwhile, for Ulsan HD, their U16s led by Samuel Saw up front.
Yeah, Saw will be important for them to try to get out in those wide areas. Can he combine with Nam up top in that 9 position? Then those midfield 3 will rotate through. Yo coming inside, looking for those balls in those interior spaces, and then trying to release Saw in those wide areas.
We're just about set to get underway, our second of 4 broadcasts over the course of this afternoon on MLS YouTube page. Glad to have you with us again. We just got concluded with what was a very entertaining affair between Real Salt Lake and Club América, which went into kicks from the spot. Real Salt Lake emerging victorious from that contest, in prime position now with 5 points through 2 matches to advance to the knockout stage. We reference how this is essentially a must-win matchup for both of these teams. Ulsan HD, they fell yesterday 5-0 to Orlando City in their opener. LAFC, meanwhile, wasn't a much better affair. 3-0 defeat to Columbus Crew. You lose 2 matches, you have 0 points through 2 matches, you will not advance to the championship bracket. So quickly, Kalen Carr, there are stakes to this one.
Yeah, you have to put that behind you, though. It was a disappointing result for both teams, but the competition, they played strong. Orlando City, one of the teams that people have identified as maybe potential champion coming out of this group. So have to put it behind and come out with a good, fresh start today. Come out and see who can set the tone in this match.
30-minute halves, 60-minute matches, of course, through group stage play here. U16s. Keep an eye on for LAFC up front, number 7, Kingo Harike, star striker. We're playing along the right flank here for LAFC and trying to be a goal-scoring presence today. Both these sides, again, searching for their first goal of their GA Cup run. Also up front for LAFC, Andres Sanchez gets the starting nod today. Carmona triggers it in here for LAFC, getting the start at the right back spot, gets it out of play. It'll be a goal kick. And the first touch for Mingyo Gong in goal for the South Korean side from Ulsan.
Yeah, you can see just from these early moments, LAFC looking to tilt the field, to be aggressive, even to tempt Ulsan HD to play out of the back here, see this pressure initially.
So blows it dead, but it will be a free kick. This Generation Adidas Cup gives us so many opportunities to see clubs from all around the globe, in addition to the domestic powers we're used to seeing lifting the trophy. Ulsan HD, they're one of the powerhouse clubs in South Korean football. They're based in what is an industrial port city, is Ulsan. This is a club founded back in 1983. They're owned by Hyundai, which makes sense. Ulsan actually home to the world's largest shipyard. Another look at this sequence here.
Yeah, both teams just looking to try to get a foothold here and see the tackle coming through him, and now sets up LAFC to try to see if they can use a little bit of this wind. It looks like it's going to be an in-swinger. Try to put it right around that 6-yard box to test Ulsan on net.
First set piece of the match here. Whipping it into the box in a dangerous spot. Oh, that bounces into the top corner of the net. Early glory here for LAFC. On a chaotic sequence, it's 1-0.
And it's Horike who takes this, and the in-swinger is so dangerous because you have numbers running across it, and it freezes Kim in net. He can't react in time because he has to respect the runners coming across him for any deflection that could potentially come. But such a dangerous ball in from Horike to give his runners a chance, and if not, happy to claim the tally himself. Wonderful start for LAFC here.
Dream start, less than 3 minutes in. They went all 60 without anything to show for it yesterday. A much different story being written in the early moments of this one. 1-0 to LAFC. Horike putting it in an advantageous spot. And now LAFC perhaps looking for more here. Not done with the threat. Trying to flick it backwards to an open man. Now Ulsan traversing the other way. Knocked back quickly. And this is a tough thing to navigate from. You already lost 5-0 in a match. You give up one in the first 3 minutes. They'll have to keep their composure here. Quick restart LAFC. They've got 3 in the box already. They were trying to locate Horike again. Ulsan cutting it off. Last year's GA Cup, the U17s for LAFC made the Premier Bracket final, but fell to Inter Miami. U15s did not advance to the knockout stage. This is given a little bit of a ride to the LAFC net, but no problem for Benjamin Ilya. First touch for Ilya today. Clearly into the back there from Daejeon, steady left back that's been playing on the youth national team.
Yeah, but you can see right away when Horike gets the ball, they're sending 2 numbers to him to double down, and it's a difficult one. Didn't quite get that first touch right, had to scrap for it, and ends up having the player landing on top of him.
Darian Russ to the edge of the 18, bounces harmlessly to Gong. Aggressive early spirit from LAFC, but a bit too ambitious there, into the back, and another foul. Not out of dangerous area now, one chance, and that's 2-0 just like that. Trouble playing out of the back for Ulsan, and it continues to cascade against them. 2-0 to LAFC, taking advantage of the miscue.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because Ulsan wants to keep possession, play out of the back, but it causes you to have to play perfect, and it's just a miscue there from Kim and net. Just gets underneath it, and the wind holds it up. Just doesn't get the right contact, and then it's clever from LAFC just to hold on top of it. And Sorto, opportunistic, takes his chance.
Horike with the goal, Sorto with the goal. Being flat-footed in goal, that will cost you when trying to clear it like that. Did not put enough pace behind it. And Sorto was in as good a place as ever to convert from close range. 2-0 to LAFC. This feels a little too familiar for Ulsan in the early moments right now.
Yeah, and you could just tell a little bit of that lack of confidence maybe coming in from suffering a loss as they did. Fashion, away came 5-0. Very difficult way to start the tournament, and then early on, just in these first 7 minutes, already find themselves down 2 goals. So need to just try to find a foothold, keep some possession, build some confidence, and find some footing to fight their way back in this.
If you're an attacking player, when you're in a match like this, and your spirit, your eyes grow wide thinking this might be that kind of match. I can put a couple goals on the board here.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite from the other side that we just mentioned as far as that confidence, because they also had a disappointing result. And that's why I felt these first 10 minutes were going to be so crucial to watch for both teams to set the tone. And you could tell from the opening kickoff, LAFC just play it long, try to pin Ulsan HD in and play the game on their terms. And now you can see Ulsan deciding, do we want to stick with our philosophy? Do we want to stick with our plan? And don't really have the personnel or profile to go long, so have to continue to try to just play through this.
They did have an encouraging moment earlier. They put a shot on goal, didn't have too much behind it, but did work possession to their advantage for a bit. But other than that, it's really been a match obviously controlled by LAFC here. Sanchez, Sordo, and Horike looking to be opportunistic up front. Foul on the far side.
Yeah, and it was actually a pretty innocuous foul that ended up giving the set piece to LAFC that resulted in that first goal from Horike. And set piece is such a big part of tournament play. We've seen it at the highest levels from the World Cup all the way down to the youth leagues, but you have to take those chances as they come. And LAFC have been good in possession, clever to win a few of these, and ultimately now they're the protagonist.
Ian Nam committing the foul there. The header goes straight to Horike. He cuts towards the end line, has space to cross. He does brilliantly right into the net. What a pass, what a finish. Lisandro Torres makes it 3-0 and LAFC are off and running.
And it just starts from a set piece opportunity. We're speaking about it, and it's the second balls that become so crucial. And LAFC just tilt the field. They find the isolation, and it's Horike once again. It's a lovely cutback. The presence of mind to understand that he's got to the end line, and the runners are going to be coming from deeper areas, and that's exactly where he finds his partner with Torres. It's a fantastic strike to keep it low, to keep it hard, and LAFC now 3-0 in the first 10 minutes.
I mean, how many hundreds of times might you have that sequence in pregame drills, right? That kind of feed from that spot. It's almost like practice in that moment and slotted home perfectly. So Torres, Sordo, Horike, all with goals now within the first 12 minutes of this match. Torres, a dual Mexican and U.S. national, who has played 6 times for the Mexican U16 youth national team, has scored once for them as well. And now in transition, perhaps this time, instead of the set piece, LAFC looking for success. That's going to be a yellow, bringing them down in the circle, stopping that moment for LAFC. First booking today, that's Doogie Lee going into the book.
Lee just forced to bring him down to stop that moment in transition, and really nice burst through the midfield. Close control from Horike, who was a player we spotlighted coming in, and his first 10 or 11 minutes has certainly made his imprint.
So 3-0 to LAFC. What a fabulous start here in Bradenton in game 2. Already maybe thinking about how they can finish off this group with 6 points and take this momentum into tomorrow's matchup. So 12 minutes in, LAFC 3, Ulsan HD 0. Great to have you with us. The 2025 Generation Adidas Cup. AJ Ricketts, Kalen Carr, and it's a pleasure to have Apple TV analyst, former NFL player, MLS, excuse me, as this is sent across. Ulsan trying to get it out of the box again. MLS player for Nashville SC, Jalil Anibaba. Jalil, great to have you with us. Great to be at the Generation Cup. Well, Adidas Cup, when'd you get in town? How long you been in? How are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I'm enjoying myself very well. Got in late Friday, been at the fields all day yesterday, and man, when it comes to playing in the MLS, it's an absolute vibe. If I could have played in the NFL too, I would have taken those odds as well.
I'm going to say no for me. I'm going to sit that one out. I already had to wear a helmet playing in soccer. I don't want to wear a real one.
That was just, he had to look.
Jay, what has stood out to you so far? You mentioned, I wish we had a tournament like this to be able to play in growing up, and our experience was very different. We won't go into that, but when you see the talent, the resources, the investment through the youth level, and across the board, internationally, seeing teams from South Korea, did a PSV match yesterday, just so many players that have come over, and you get exposed to different types of football as well, which for me seems exciting.
Yeah, first I want to tap into this game. LAFC here showing their resiliency where they dropped points in their game against Columbus, who's an excellent U16 side yesterday. They bounced back and then have a very good start to this game. And when you talk about the tournament overall, Kalen, come on, man. You look at not only the competition, not only the prestige of all of the clubs that are here, the facilities, but when you sit down and you talk to parents and you talk to players, this is a tournament that they look forward to starting every single year, and you can tell through the youthful exuberance through every single matchup here.
Arike trying to cause more issues for Ulsan here, getting it out of the back. You spent your collegiate career a number of years, Santa Clara on the West Coast, like Kalen, before that final year at Carolina, and then of course drafted by the Fire and a fantastic MLS career. When you look at the developmental side of things and the academies to next pro, just to where the pathway to the pros is now, just how do you feel it's changed since you started your time in the league?
It's changed dramatically because the football landscape in North America has grown. Whether it's just through time, whether it's expertise being woven in, but most importantly, I think resources and money being invested into our youth. That's what's the most important thing. Whether you're an academy player and you're ascending, whether you're a college player and you're ascending as well, there's so many different pathways at this point in time in the developmental scene, and that's what I'm most proud of, that it's not just a one-track street to get to the pros or aspire to get to the pros. There are so many options, resources, and an ability for players to ascend to the top level.
Yeah. Whether through the academy, next pro, collegiately, serving a role like it did for you. And it's always neat to come here because you know there's never a doubt there's going to be dozens of players who take the pitch here at Bradenton over the course of the week that we're going to see at the first team level sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. And you talk about first team level players you're already mentioning, whether it's LAFC or other MLS clubs or international clubs as well, that are having a lot of their players that are playing with their national teams as well. The exposure and the readiness when they get into the second team and first team environment is really what's helping them. Because, Kalen, as you know, when we were getting into first team environments, there's a huge learning curve there, but now you're seeing a lot of younger players being able to catch the wave earlier and earlier on.
Yeah, it's really important also just for the proof of concept and the inspiration, because when you see players that have played in these tournaments or come through the academy, come from your neighborhood, and then go to the first team, I think of a guy like Nathan Ordaz, who just jumps off the page when I see him play with LAFC, and Jude Terry, some young players that have come through already, getting on the bench, some first team minutes. That gives inspiration for these guys because they know them. They say if I stick to the program, if I continue to do well, I'm going to get my chance too. And that's something that we certainly didn't have. And to be able to represent the colors of your home team as well, it's just different. I think that's a different level of inspiration.
Yeah, and we always say it all the time. The footballing world is small. And when you know people, it really does help you visualize. I had the examples of Kalen Carr playing at Cal when I was at Santa Clara, and then he gets into the pros, and I'm looking like, okay, if a clean-cut Bay Area kid could do it, I could do it too.
AJ, this was a rookie. This guy next to me was a rookie when he came into Chicago, and he was already more mature than me. I have to.
Well, I believe that.
He didn't need much help.
Obviously,
I I was like, you got it together, man. You should mentor me.
That's great. You're plenty of, like, this style of soccer, just knockout soccer, tournament soccer. You embrace it. You cherish it. You're part of 2 U.S. Open Cup championship teams.
Yeah.
Obviously, a number of playoff teams in your 12-year MLS career as well. This is fun for these kids. Being a tournament setting, knockout setting, hopefully for a lot of them here soon, and it puts them in pressure situations. You love to see how a lot of them respond.
I couldn't agree with you more here, AJ.
Good through ball, just threaded a little bit too strong as LAFC trying to make it 4.
And like I had said earlier, the setup of the tournament, even when you're in the group stage and there's no true tie, where when it's even at the end of regulation here, you go into penalty kicks. It's just
Samuel Saul trying to make a nice run. Had a 1v1 moment now to his right foot. Got the shot off. Immediately sent away.
It's a very good way for players to continue to develop, because I was just talking to one of my mentors when I was young at the time, Corey Gibbs, about how when we got into the pros, how many penalty kick shootouts were we in, Kalen? You're figuring out as a pro how to be able to, what side do I go? Do I go down the middle? Do I go high left, X, Y, and Z? But these players are way more developed than we were, because they're in these pressurized moments. And again, when you talk to families and you talk to the kids, they look for these moments throughout the course of the year. The only thing that I wish is that we had a way to make the entire academy schedule as competitive as these games are, because everybody's up for it. The exuberance is very high, and you see the best at these tournaments. Can we continue to push the schedule in a way where throughout the course of the year, every single game means almost as much as these?
See Ulsan continuing to play out of the back, and LAFC
careless
continuing
passes,
to push.
And Haraki looking for a second. 3 different goal scorers for LAFC thus far. To the end line, another good cross in. That one sent back, still in a dangerous spot. Shot. Wow! What a laser! What a goal! Carmona getting in on all the fun. It's 4-0 to LAFC.
Take this one, Julio.
Okay.
Yeah, Julio, what you got?
Man, I got just as much hype as the celebration in the corner. When you look at LAFC, what they've done in the first half is get down to the end line and cut it back. That creates problems. But, oh, yes, boom, pick it out. The reason why it's difficult to keep this one out of the back of the net is because there's so many bodies in front of the goalkeeper here. Look, Kalen, there's so much traffic. Just put it on frame. And what I want you to realize, number 2, for LAFC, put a circle around this kid, because he's absolutely hyped.
What a fizzer. Goes top shelf on Gong there for the 4th goal of the match. Carmona listed as a right back. He's got some striking ability to his name. He's making his audition for a forward. Wow.
Yeah, Ulsan have to try to, stop it right now, just to get a little bit of a foothold in this match, because it's 5-0 against Orlando City, I think a top team in the tournament, but to be 4-0 down in these first 20 minutes, really, really difficult moment, challenging. Of course, tactically, just playing maybe a little bit safer out of the back might be a bit more pragmatic to choose to go long at times, to not put yourself in these dangerous positions with the way LAFC have been able to press.
This is better here from Ulsan. Numbers in the box. It is sent away. You know they're going to continue to play hard. They come from a country where soccer is certainly prevalent and prominent sport. South Korea, a giant in Asian football, not just in reputation, but in results throughout the years. The Korean national teams qualified for every FIFA World Cup since '86. Remember their iconic moment back in 2002 when they co-hosted the tournament, reached the semifinals, knocked out Italy, Spain along the way. So they put a lot of investment into their youth system as well. But struggling here.
But AJ, you can see the concepts. You can see the patterns of play. You can see how they're trying to build out. And at this stage of your football, it's important to be able to keep with the strategy of what your organization is trying to put forth. But Kalen, you bring up an excellent point. Sometimes you have to play the fixture itself and be a little bit more pragmatic, because when you talk about Ulsan, you're talking about an organization and a team that is excellent in the K division, sitting in 3rd place already in this 2025 season.
Yeah.
They're definitely no slouch of an organization here, but there's going to be a lot that they're going to look at this GA Cup to correct from a developmental standpoint.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Jaleel. It is difficult sometimes because it sends the wrong message if you suddenly switch your principles of play.
Correct.
But at the same time, players have to adapt.
Yep.
And you have to learn to recognize that, hey, the system right now, we're going to try to play when we can, but in these moments, this is when LAFC are looking to pounce. And that's the part of the thinking of the game, the adaptation. You keep your principles, but there's got to be some flexibility to not continue to put yourself in difficult positions.
And AJ said it earlier, when you're playing in a knockout round competition, oftentimes the strategy changes based on what you need to do to advance.
Some would love, even if this score line does not become more competitive, maybe put one in the net, get some confidence for tomorrow, get their first one of the tournament, try to keep doing things the right way here. Certainly a contrast from our earlier broadcast today, which did go to penalties. I thought that was a good point you said about all the pressure kicks that these young players are getting in moments like that. Really, when you were playing, if it wasn't Open Cup competition, you have to be a playoff team if you ever get a chance to take a penalty. Otherwise, it really may have been a rare moment.
AJ, I'm telling you, man, of all the football I played in my life, the most important penalty kick shootout that I was in was going into the College Cup with Chapel Hill. And that was when I was, what, 17, 18? So for a lot of these younger players to have the ability to be in pressurized moments. Yesterday afternoon, Orlando's 18s are playing against Inter Milan, and they win in the penalty kick shootout. The stadium here is packed.
Yeah.
These are core memories and core developmental stages in players' career where they'll take them to the first team, second team, and national teams as well as they continue to grow.
Throw in our possession over to Ulsan here. Well, take us through what you've been up to. Obviously, you know, the club ambassador role is, I'm sure, has been a very enjoyable thing. The broadcasting, staying busy with a lot of different areas. Just take us through the routine for you the last couple months. What you've been up to?
Routine is busy and no days off in the best way possible, because Kalen will tell you when you retire from putting everything you have into being a pro, rhythm is all you know from 4 years old into whenever it is your career stops. And then if you're able to be blessed to keep that rhythm, staying in the game and being able to give back your experiences to the younger generation, you're in an absolute blessed position. And that's the position that I've been in since I retired from the Columbus Crew in 2022, and I'm very thankful.
I love talking to former professional athletes about this dynamic, and Kalen, I'll pose this to you as well. I mean, both of you have such structure for so many years, right? Goals, how you want it to approach a new season, off-season regimen. I don't want to ask, is it a feeling of emptiness when that career ends, but is it a challenge to mimic that, to have that same feeling as you navigate what were the initial moments of your post-professional career?
Oh man, we're getting deep here. I like it.
all these kids on the pitch, they're thankfully a long way from that.
We're like, enjoy this.
Hey, I had to experience when my college career ended, because I didn't get the pro career, so I had to deal with it a lot earlier than you guys.
No, I think the main thing is just a desire to want to stay involved and to see the game grow. And you have to figure out a little bit of what that is for you. For me, I experimented a little bit while playing in Chicago with coaching, and didn't have the best experience. It didn't go great for me. I love the kids. They were great, the ones I worked with, but I just realized that maybe that wasn't going to be the right fit, and instead I think the media side really caught my interest, and lucky to stay involved in the game and still be a part of it, because that's I think the end goal for all of us is just the sport. We didn't have tournaments like this growing up, and now, yes, obviously we're not going to go back in time and play in it, but the idea that that these guys can, and then you're going to see players that come from here going on to play for the first team, and hopefully they are still nice to us and give us an interview when we request it. But I think the big thing too is really just about reconnecting with the game and finding different ways to stay involved in it.
Did you feel a need to have a competitive outlet?
Everyone's different, though. Honestly, AJ, some players, when they retire, they just want to shut it down and do whatever they want and travel the world or live on the beach for 6 months or whatever have you. Some crave that structure. Truthfully, I was somewhere in between. I wanted to be able to kind of shut certain things down, but stay in a rhythm.
Could LAFC possibly get a fifth? They were inches away.
That's Thomas.
Admirable effort right there.
Yeah, he's been really good this first half. He's one of the few that doesn't have a goal to his name as of yet, although this strike came close, but he's been really good in possession, covered a ton of ground, and he just takes that first touch really well to set himself up, strike it to that back post. It looks like it maybe even kissed that back post and almost hit the back of the net.
Julie, what's been the most impressive aspect of this LAFC offense in your eyes through the first nearly 30 minutes here?
They all seem to be on one accord, AJ.
Sure.
And again, I watched their game yesterday, and the Columbus Crew gave it to them. And that's a difficult thing to bounce back from in this type of, knockout round type tournament. And they've done very well to make sure that they got the early stages of the game right. You said earlier in the broadcast that you're looking at how both teams are going to handle the first 10 minutes or so, and LAFC has put themselves into a position to run away with this game from literally the start. So I really like how you can see even their patterns up and down this near right-hand side. They have a good understanding of getting in these spots.
Plenty of ideas about them. Another shot, this time parried away. They are searching for 5 here in the waning moments of the first half.
Yeah, it's that combination again. Enrique and Thomas just mentioned, it's a really good understanding on the 1-2, and I think this extra ball across is just perfect. It just bounces, so it's a little difficult. That's a great save there. Give credit to the goalkeeper for getting that hand to it.
Daejeon Gong still competing, laying out full extension to preserve what's currently the 4-goal deficit. Might have got over the top here trying to locate Jiju Kwan, who has good speed, holds up for a moment. Supporting teammates are central. He lofts it. Excellent ball. Just inside the box, laid off. Defense recovering. And nothing in the end for Ulsan. It's been that kind of half. Looks like things were developing well. Looking to counter. Sordo can't do anything with that. A better moment there towards the end of this half for Ulsan.
Yeah, it's a good break. They get out in transition, and just LAFC continued to back press, just to slow things down, just to bring numbers around it. But Ulsan's got a few opportunities where in transition they showed a little bit of danger, just haven't quite been able to turn that into a clear opportunity.
Kalen, when Ulsan is a little bit more direct and pragmatic, to your earlier point, they're able to advance out of the middle third into the attacking third with more teeth to their attack. If they can mix that in with their patterns of play and possession-based style, they can get themselves back into a more respectable position in this match.
And it's going to be natural, too, for LAFC with the confidence in the lead to be a bit more adventurous, send those fullbacks forward, which might leave a little bit more one-on-one opportunities for Ulsan in transition.
Might have a booking here. Second of the match here for Ulsan. This one on Jong Ho Hwang, who's been playing up with the U18s. Scored his first international goal in July of last year. Also on the Korean youth national team, U15. It was a dangerous slide after he lost possession. Here in the final moments of the first half. Keep in mind, 2 more games to come here on day 2 of the 2025 GA Cup. Seattle, Hana Citizen at 2:30 this afternoon. And then following that, 2 hours later, Inter Miami's U18s, Club Bolívar. That'll be a fun matchup to wrap up day 2 of the competition. Michael Watcher and Katie Goodman will be on the call there. Jaleel, thanks for taking some time with us this afternoon, man. Great to catch up with you. I know you're doing a lot of things keeping you busy.
This guy's so popular. I'm surprised we were able to snag him.
That's true.
Listen,
He can't walk through GA Cup without being stopped. Probably
How did we get this much time with him?
you guys are hiding out incognito in the booth. If Kalen is walking up and down these fields with me too, he's going to be stopped left and right.
I'm trying to stay in the shade.
Yeah, we've got lots of security, all for him.
Straight up.
All for him.
Kalen Carr, none other. AJ, I appreciate you.
Man,
Make sure
appreciate
you
the
take
time.
care of this man, Kalen
try
Carr,
to.
for me, because
We'll
this
try.
is my brother from another. I appreciate you guys very much.
Juliana Baba joining us in the booth. Great to have him join us for a little bit. At the half, LAFC, fantastic spirits right now, 4-0. Everything they were asking for in the first 30 minutes here in Bradenton. Ulsan searching for some answers in the second half. Much more to come here at the Generation Adidas Cup halftime. Back after this.
You ready? MLS is game on. Dochi? On. Stars on.
Sullivan, the history maker.
30,000 friends on. Rivalries on.
Red Bull New York versus New York City.
MLS, this is our soccer. Game on.
What a start to day 2 at the Generation Adidas Cup. Real Salt Lake in Copa America down to the wire, down to the shootout. Salt Lake takes it 3-1. Here to get the extra point. AJ Wickets, Caleb Carr. Let's take a look at it. Took them less than 2 minutes to have their first chance. But tell you what, in goal, Teolino was fantastic.
Yeah, Parker getting sprung in on a lovely ball in from Peralta and finds it. And this was the second half where the moment switched instantly. It's great pressure from America. Benitez wins the penalty and Ramos steps up. Coolly finishes.
The entire complexion of the match changing on that one moment. Ramos converting from the spot. All of a sudden, Real Salt Lake with their backs against the wall after a huge win against Philly yesterday. But Rylan Hashimoto to the rescue in the 52nd.
Yeah, and Salt Lake, give them credit. They didn't panic. They continued to pick and probe in the wide areas. And then when they found Hashimoto in the far half space, how about this for individual brilliance? Sets him up so well to think he's going left, cuts right, and then picks out that back post. Big time play to bring them back in it.
Nearly completed the comeback before kicks from the spot on this sequence, which just went off the crossbar. Agonizing stuff for Salt Lake, and so the pressure rises. To the shootout we go, and it was a positive start for Club America.
Yeah, Luna steps up with a big time save here on the first penalty, and you thought maybe there was going to be problems for Real Salt Lake, but then they were able to find their foothold, and then they substitute. Loveridge comes in, makes a save, and then puts pressure on Club America. Desperately unlucky to miss that one in the end there. But Real Salt Lake won't mind at all, circling around their goalkeeper, Loveridge. Important result for them.
Celebrations once more for Real Salt Lake. They're in great position after 2 matches at the GA Cup. Well, we're off to a fantastic start at the 2025 GA Cup in beautiful Bradenton, Florida. LAFC in good spirits. 4-0 over Ulsan HGFC out of South Korea through 30 minutes of play. Well, MLS Next technical director Luis Robles joins us in the broadcast booth. Of course, a decorated 14-year playing career, 9 in the MLS with Red Bulls and Inter Miami, of course. And great to have him join us here at the Generation Adidas Cup. Thanks for taking some time as we roll along here on day 2. Or your initial thoughts, impressions, day 1? A lot of action and fun results. How have you been enjoying it so far?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This is incredible, right? This facility, the weather's been great. But more than anything, the competition has been stellar. So up until now, everyone's been really happy. It's gone off without a hitch. We know that there's a lot more competition to go, but so far, there's a lot to be thankful for.
We've seen a ton of talent already in the matches that we've called, and And then the international component for me is interesting. And I think about it even from a development standpoint, to play against a team from South Korea who might have a different style than the team from the Netherlands, who might have a different style from someone from England. So how do you sort of plan this as the technical director as far as who joins the tournament, and then how these matches, what type of opportunity do you think that provides as far as our more domestic players to be exposed to that?
I had the chance to sit down with some of our most talented players last summer and ask them some questions to get their feedback. What's their experience been like? And I asked them, what's their favorite event throughout the year? And they said Generation Adidas Cup. It's an opportunity for them to not only play against those different styles that you mentioned, but to see what else is out there and benchmark themselves against some of the top players around the world. And that's what we look for, is how can we create diversity of play, of approach, of methodology, so that we continue to develop our players in the best way possible. Because everything we do is through the lens of what's best for our players.
I spent a lot of time with Next Pro, and it's been so fun to have conversations with some of the head coaches in Next Pro who are starting their coaching careers. Benny Feilhaber, Ricardo Clark, a lot of former national team players. That's a similar story, similar journey to a lot of the coaches here, whether U16s, U18s, here at Generation Adidas Cup. It's player evaluation, player development, but it's also the start of a lot of coaching careers, and that's an interesting aspect as well.
I think that's what's poetic about this setting here at IMG. For those who can remember, this is where the U17 residency camp was, and a lot of the generation that we now know as some of the more successful professionals to have played for the national team, but also Major League Soccer, they got their start here. Yeah. And so now as we progress through this competition and we create more opportunities, you're absolutely right, it goes beyond just the players. It's now the coaches. But what's great also about this event is you see so many different crowds. You see people with an agency background. You see people with a college coaching background. You see people who are in and around Major League Soccer clubs. And a lot of these former players, Kaylin, I'm sure in some way it resonates as well, is you love to see how they continue to push the game forward, how they love to continue to turn around and give back to the game. And we all have a role to play. I know that even myself, within the role that I play, it's how do we develop better professionals? How do we develop Major League Soccer from a player development standpoint into the best league in the world? And so events like this allow us to do that. But I think more than anything, so far in 2 days, what I've enjoyed the most is just walking around and seeing all the former players and hearing their story of that transition to where they're at now. But more than anything, being grateful that they want to be a part of all this. They want to continue to push it forward. And I have to imagine as a collective, if we continue to do that and we have critical mass, it's not a matter of if we do it, it's when. And this is just another part of that story.
Yeah, I'm realizing this is like a reunion for all your soccer friends, for you guys.
We're having
everybody for your time in MLS.
I wanted to ask you, as we look towards Tuesday night, there's also an MLS Next Pro match happening here. That's within the scope of the GA Cup tournament. What should we expect from that? And then also, what's the idea of maybe exposing some of these players here to what's that next step?
I think what we can expect is what the next level looks like. And having these players see that it is the next step on the pro player pathway allows them to aspire towards that. But also, the same way we said that we're benchmarking against some of the world's best, they're going to benchmark against that next step. What are those players doing? What's that level like? Hey, I can do that. And that's what we want them to feel, is that is attainable, because more than anything, we want to inspire the next generation while exposing them to what the next step is. And so having this integration is key. We're looking for more ways that we can integrate that pro player pathway, where you think about even at the MLS Go level, this is where it's fun, it's with your friends, we want to keep it affordable, we want to keep it accessible. Then you take that next step into what MLS Next is, where you're developing future professionals, and now they're professionals. It's that pre-ceremony to the big show, and being able to highlight, showcase that in an event like this is very beneficial.
Well, there's so many positive things happening for the league and for the sport, really, in Bradenton this week. And it's a lot of fun to chronicle that over the course of the next 7 or 8 days. Luis Robles, 14-year MLS career. Appreciate you taking some time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Have a great week. Enjoy yourself.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll be right back after this here from Bradenton. thanks to Luis Robles for joining us just there here at halftime. Nearly set for the second half. It's LAFC 4, Ulsan HD FC 0. Let's take a look at the first half highlights. Great to be alongside former MLS striker Kalen Carr. AJ Ricketts here with you. Got started on the set piece here with Kengo Horike finding the nets.
Yeah, and Ulsan holding a high line here, which was going to put pressure, not to mention the wind. And it's a really good ball in there from Horike to ask some questions. There's runners coming across it, and you never know what can happen. Gives them a really good start to this match, and then from there they continue to apply that pressure to misplaced clearance, and then see the opportunistic finish there. Fantastic strike there from Sorto to go in and be in the right position.
And again, off another set piece. Poor clearance. Horike gets another sequence started from the end line.
Yeah, LAFC just tilted the field forward, 1 second balls, and then won their individual matchups. The one-on-one ability again from Horike, getting to the wide areas. This time Thomas here, but it's a mirror image, creating opportunities. And then how about this strike? And Carmona just absolutely rifles that. It was 4-0 in a blink here in this first half.
LAFC nearly made it 5-0 on a number of occasions. This everything they could ask for in that first half. They will make a switch in goal. Alex Padilla will come on for Benjamin Faelia. Saw a goalkeeper switch in our first broadcast as well, but that was right before penalties. Felix Gomez also enters off the bench for LAFC. Jae-Jun Lee in for Ulsan.
Yeah, and if you're Ulsan HD here, you just treat this as a 0-0 match at halftime. If you're the manager, you just say, hey, look, let's put it behind us. It's 0-0. Let's win the second half.
Ulsan looking for positives to take here in the final 30 minutes to their final match tomorrow against Columbus, who defeated this LAFC team 3-0. Kind of gives you a glimpse at what Columbus is bringing to the table here this week. LAFC will look to keep tacking on goals here. Already inside the box, just skips by Jason Ramirez. This is obviously not how Ulsan intended or expected the first two matches of their stint at the GA Cup to go, and now being outscored, of course, 9-0. But here's the thing, look, regardless of what the score lines are, they're still going to get the same amount of games in this tournament. The player development also a huge part of what this is all about, getting the games, getting the opportunities to get reps and face good competition. So, look, it's not as if their mindset has to be, hey, we have to win or we're gone. We have to leave the tournament. It is an elimination in terms of who advances to the championship bracket. So trying to reset, like you said, at the half, try to disregard the scoreline here. Just what Ulsan will try to do moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'd really try to break these down into moments. Let's start with these first 5 minutes in the second half. Can we give a better account of ourselves? Build your way into it and sort of let go a little bit of the bigger picture and say, let's win the half. That would be a huge positive for Ulsan HD if they can do that, and then you face the next moment when it comes, and overall you start building those pieces together. You find some consistency, find some confidence. We saw a few bright moments even in transition, where they were able to get out and had a few bright spots, but you kind of got to let go of the bigger picture, and I think that's a big part of this player development pathway, is not just so much of the team results, but how do you handle the mental component of going against a team that's really put you under it?
That was their first corner kick of the match. And look, they'll be looking at more than just the big stats that we so often evaluate: shots on goal. What percentage of time can they spend in the attacking half of the field? What will the final numbers be in touches in the opponent's box? Touches the attacking third. I'm going to try to build those up as much as possible. Make the pace of this game much more suited to positive moments for them in the second half. Minho Yo, talented midfielder for this Ulsan side.
Yeah, I think the challenge on the other side for LAFC is not to dip your level into complacency and feeling like you have this game under control, and didn't have the best result in their first match, second, but just trying to build that consistency, that confidence. You see the number of changes that have come in the second half. So allowing some new opportunities, and I think sometimes that's the best way to combat complacency, is to switch it up, allow some playing time for players to come in and give a good account of themselves to earn more minutes throughout the tournament.
Now going against LAFC there.
And it just kind of looked like awkward on the tackle. I think the training staff will come out with a potential head injury, because it just looked like maybe a trailing leg seemed to come through. You always want to make sure the health and safety in these moments is paramount, and allow the medical staff to come out and evaluate the player to make sure his health is all right and be able to continue in this match.
Well, you talked with Luis Robles about that match coming up on Tuesday. Sure to have a lot of viewers and supporters here in the stands seeing this next pro matchup. Inter Miami 2, Orlando City B. Little next pro Florida derby here in Bradenton. Anytime those two teams play, whatever level it is, you're gonna have an entertaining affair. That'll be streamed live, of course, just north of beautiful downtown Sarasota. Another perfect day along the coast for some soccer. That is Jacob Navarro, who's in need of a little bit of time here at the moment. Will be a free kick here for Ulsan. Navarro looks to be in some pain, but able to at least be standing on his own power.
And this is a similar spot that LAFC scored their goal from Hiroki. Use that wind. Wonder if Ulsan might go with the in-swinger, or if they try to loop it out here.
They put it in a similar spot. Only gets to the top of the netting, and a foul negated the sequence anyway.
It's a really good ball in there to ask some questions. Minho Yo just curling that one in, and it's difficult because the goalkeeper has to come off his line there and be brave to punch that one out. The referee sees some contact, and LAFC are able to escape the moment.
Talk about LAFC's first team this year. Highs and lows, peaks and valleys at the moment. Of course, under Steve Cherundolo, LAFC 4-4-0 in MLS play so far this year. They sit at 6th in the West. Started the year with a couple of consecutive victories, some confusing losses as well, including at Houston 1-0. Of course, most recently in the headlines, giving up that 2-0 aggregate lead they had on Inter Miami in the Champions Cup, and it was a thrilling game at Chase Stadium.
Yeah, so difficult to navigate these early parts of the season, the fixture congestion, especially going against the likes, had their opportunities against Inter Miami.
Yeah.
The big positive for me was last night they got a goal from Denny Bouanga in his first in MLS play, and important to bounce back after a frustrating evening against Inter Miami with a good result, and him getting off the mark in MLS play for the first time of the season.
Bouanga nearly won it right after Messi's penalty, which gave him a 3-1 lead. LAFC had about 2 or 3 real chances to make that even a crazier ending than it already was.
That game had the feel of, a big one with those teams, the amount of players, the pedigree that they have, and the talent on display. entertaining.
Unfortunately for LAFC, it was one of those messy magic games, which he is continuing to accumulate now.
I was going to say, which match
Yeah.
is that not accurate at this point? I mean, it's just incredible what he's able to do.
This one was in the category of early matches he had, right, in his first season, the free kick at the death, one of those kind of things. This time, a comeback in the Champions Cup. LAFC fans probably don't want to reminisce on that right now. But you got to think with Bouanga, hopefully getting into form, obviously going to have steady presence in the net with Hugo Lloris there. Could be a fun season with some bumps along the way, perhaps. Trio substitutions about to take to the pitch for this U16 side for LAFC. Ulsan also going to send 2 on as well. Get those here in a moment. All right, look, Slate Collins, 14-year-old center back, comes in, as well as Abraham Prado and Miles Ozar. See the wind affecting that one. So a relatively fresh 5 on the pitch right now for LAFC since the halftime break. Off the volley. High degree of difficulty. Defender got in the way. Ulsan probing now. Throw into LAFC. And now Ulsan will get 2 of their substitutes in. Daejeon Kwon, number 28, as well as Young Yoon. Onto the pitch. Boogie Lee will head to the bench. Ulsan's kept things a little bit calmer defensively here in this second half, but of course already find themselves in a 4-goal deficit. We were talking about LAFC first team. They entered this year with high expectations. First in the West last year, going 19-8-7, won that first ever U.S. Open Cup title, reached the League's Cup final. In the MLS Cup playoffs, Western Conference semis exit. So Bouanga had 28 goals across all competitions last year, trying to find that kind of form right now. There's all sorts of space on the near side if they can find the diagonal ball. This is too far towards the inline, just too much on it. Jaehyun Lee had the right idea. There was nobody around him. That may have led to the best chance for Ulsan today if that was an accurate pass. See on towards the left side of your screen there, that player fan experience area, a lot of activations, areas for the players to congregate, spend some time. You think there's some PlayStations over there, some FIFA going on. Great opportunity for all these players from around the globe to enjoy themselves between games. Are you a FIFA guy?
I've retired.
Can you hold your own on the sticks?
No, I have
You've retired from FIFA.
From real football and imaginary.
You don't have to retire from the imaginary.
I know. You're right.
That's what keeps us going.
Yeah, I think there's a certain age limit where you age out of that, but
that's fair.
Maybe I could rediscover the magic.
Ulsan got it inside the 6 there, but didn't have possession. Still a little bit better offensively here, though, from the South Korean side.
I think the other component you mentioned of the sort of experience around here is you see a lot of teams actually lining the field watching other teams play. And
not just the scout, they're genuinely enjoying the club.
We've got
team,
field one especially. We've got a nice overhang, good setup. There's a lot of talent out here, players that are curious to see what is LAFC showing. He's heard a little bit of some of the players, the talent that's here. Oriki for me has stood out today. Thomas in the first half, a few guys having good days, so it's a lot to take a look at.
Ulsan might have had a shot on goal there. That was blocked. There's no doubt, though, here in the second half, these first 14, 15 minutes, they're looking much more capable from an offensive perspective. Nice hesitation to earn the cross. That'll be a foul against Ulsan.
Yeah, but you're right. It has been better from Ulsan in the second half, and I think some of the changes from LAFC have changed the little bit of the tilt, the way they're playing and control. But part of that is just game states and the way things go throughout the course of a match. But you have to give credit to Ulsan. I think they've come out and stayed competitive, continued to push.
Yeah, you feel even if they don't find a goal in the final 15 minutes here, there's a lot of aspects of the second half performance that can inspire more confidence in this young group getting into what will be a challenging game to finish off pool play. It's Columbus. And referee calming things down over there. Kim said, give him a yellow too. None given. About the first team for Ulsan and their role in the South Korean scope of football in this city that really powers the nation. Tucked along the southeastern coast of South Korea is Ulsan, really best known as the industrial heart of the country. Hyundai's role in the city's affairs, home to the world's largest shipyard. They have traveled around the globe. Fantastic experience here at the GA Cup, regardless of scoreline. Plenty of moments to be made this week. Forcing a more defensive posture from LAFC. Foul, though. Back behind the run of play. Los Angeles side will make its 6th substitution here in a moment. Levi Welch is sidelines ready to go. Another aspect of this that's positive for LAFC from a tactical perspective. They get to rest some of their starters. Maybe a bit fresher legs for tomorrow's matchup.
Yeah, it's important to be able to test the depth as you go through tournament play in any competition, and no doubt about it, their players itching to try to get minutes and prove their case to the manager to see if they can get some more time, especially as hopefully the knockout rounds is the target. But I know from just my experiences, time you get around playoffs or knockout stages, it becomes more imperative to make sure you're giving a good performance. So wouldn't want to give the coach any second thoughts if you feel if you're in a good position and if you're still challenging. It's a good time to use this opportunity as an audition.
Darian Russ to the bench after Welch's entrance. Solid 48 minutes for him today in the midfield. Another foul on Ulsan. That's Lee. Free kick here. Again, from a similar kind of spots where they scored, but the win this time against them. Just over 10 minutes remaining here. The second of 4 broadcasts of Generation Adidas Cup here on day 2 of the competition. Beautiful area in the Sunshine States along the west coasts. Could say the suburbs of Tampa. 50-minute drive or so north. Certainly a different feel for you this week than your typical setup up in Brooklyn, right? Weather-wise, now people-wise.
No complaints. Enjoying the sun. A little reprieve from the winter.
Yes. Is it still cold up there? Well, of course it is. It's under 80 degrees, so it is.
No, it's real cold. Winter coats are still out.
Oh no.
I'm happy to be here, and yeah, there is some nostalgia coming in of being at tournament, competition. All those feelings coming back in, which is cool to see. And as we saw earlier, Luis Robles, Jalil Anibaba, a number of familiar faces that are still involved in the game, and makes it
big
fun
names.
To see. Yeah.
Spending some time here in Bradenton this week. Ozar, who was sent to the turf.
LAFC have done well in possession in this last 5, 6, 7 minutes. Just using the end line, pushing it wide to wide, side to side, and some interchanging between those fullbacks and wide players. We see that with the first team as well. It's pretty dynamic, and we see once again, Jorike, for me, it's been one of the standouts all afternoon here, standing over with good service.
They'll clip another one in. Nice curling ball. Second ball off the crossbar, off the volley. Now headed down and in for a 5th. The first of the second half for LAFC. They kept probing, kept it in the area, and after it bounced off the crossbar, they at last find the net. Again, another set piece too started this all.
Yeah, but just consistent good service there from Jorike to just ask questions, and then the second one is one. It's unlucky to go off the crossbar, and then Navarro does well to stay alert. Just been off the field with potential injury earlier, stays in the match and gets rewarded. An easy tap-in.
Jacob Navarro, the 5th goal scorer today for LAFC. That was a wicked volley. That would have been one of the goals of the day.
But
for
set pieces are going to play a big role in this tournament. Any tournament play, you have to get that right. That's a big component, because through the run of play, yes, absolutely, you want to have your ideas. I've seen them be good on the ball. LAFC, technically sound, a lot of talent, one-on-one ability, but you see in biggest tournaments in the world, every level, set pieces can really be a big advantage. Teams investing heavily in it. Set piece coaches now at the first team levels, and it tends to make the difference in a lot of these. And look, this is quite the margin, 5-0, but the way they started, it's exactly how they got off on the right foot, and it's a really good service.
Daejeon Tae picked up a yellow moments ago as well for Ulsan. part of this too in the second half. LAFC have taken the foot off the gas just a little bit. Not as ambitious moving forward with what the scoreline was. But off the set piece, they look strong. LAFC coaching staff still looking for the fundamentals, coaching strong here, wanting their defensive players to find their mark. Only about 6 minutes left to go. Don't want to give up the shutout now. The official will separate a little bit of the jostling right around the goal line before they take that corner.
Yeah, but with the wind, the way it's been carrying this direction, I think it's clever from Ulsan HD to drop numbers right on that spot where the goalkeeper is and see if this in-swinger might ask some questions.
That's exactly what it is. Oh, off the post. You called it. They almost found their moment here in the 55th. Another look.
Yeah, it's a great ball in to the back post here, and a nice little clever run just to tail off the back corner there. It's the right thing with the header to try to strike it down, but just unlucky to see that go off the near post, but great service.
Seen strong set pieces for both sides. It's led to about 3 goals for LAFC. Ulsan nearly able to generate a score off a corner right there. If it hadn't taken such a high bounce, it might have been able to slot it back very quickly. Continue to play on here. A little step through, still fighting for it. Fluidity here from LAFC, now splitting 2 defenders. Rips, instinctive save. Gong stays in front, now chipped back towards the 6. This header didn't have anything on it. Gong has had some nice blocks today, but he's been under a constant barrage of LAFC shots. All right. This afternoon's Adidas man of the match. He got things started. Kengo Horike, who is one of their dynamic young strikers in this system. He took the free kick for the first goal and has been a part of a lot of the offense today for LAFC. He is your Adidas man of the match.
Yeah, he's been really lively. He just had another opportunity, and what I like about him is his just directness. He goes right at players. We see so much of the emphasis in youth soccer right now is understandably so around the tactics and passing patterns, but there's always room for individuals to express themselves, to take the game into their own hands. We've seen from the set piece delivery, no doubt about it, but throughout the run of play and even defensively working back, definitely fits the profile of what you think of when you see an LAFC player being brave with the ball and times putting the other opponents under pressure and being direct.
Yellow card to Aiden Colocho, who entered the match a few moments ago. One of 7 substitutes as LAFC staff have put in thus far. Ulsan working the sideline, not going to get to it first. Jacob Navarro, the goal scorer, running back. Ulsan foul. Scoreboard tells the same story today for this South Korean side. Yesterday was to Orlando City, whose U16 and U18 squad's looking very strong. Yellow card starting to come out with some consistency right now. I think that was on Huang. Nope, Daejeon Kwan, beg your pardon. Make sure to stick around on the MLS YouTube channel for continuing coverage over the course of this afternoon. Games at 2:30 and 4:30 today. Seattle Sounders, Daejeon Hana Citizen, and Inter Miami Club Bolívar. We've got you covered all week long from the Generation Adidas Cup. So good to have this tournament back underway. Festival of the sport. Does LAFC have a sixth in them before this is all done? Nice sliding challenge by Choi. We'll send them to the corner. Yeah, I might try to walk around here a little bit, partner. I feel like I've just made a beeline to the broadcast booth each day after the coffee stop, after the coffee tent. And
yes,
I gotta walk around and see what's going on. It's a huge facility. I think it's miles in walking around the pitches.
Yeah, no, they've done a fantastic job throughout. I think some good matches coming underway. I'm going to be here all week, obviously, calling matches with you, but you got to take it in as well and enjoy a little bit as a spectator.
See, in addition to soccer, you know, I'm a big track and field guy too. You saw that track on the left side of the screen during that corner. I might try to get access to that at some point. I'll probably promptly be kicked off.
I like it.
Try to use any of the facilities that are possible here. It's a beautiful campus, of course, IMG Academy, producing D1 athletes and Olympians year after year. Feel free to join me for that track workout if you want.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah.
It's an open invitation.
That. Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say that. Oh, wow.
Oh, slipping over it into the net. Wow. Yeah, that counts. Yep, right before the end of stoppage time. That's a goal for Ulsan. What a strike right here.
Yeah, it's a really good strike here. I think he was just having a go of it. And wind maybe carried it, played its part, but it's got to feel, one, frustrating for LAFC to concede in the last minute and lose that clean sheet. But from Ulsan HD, it's got to be a huge positive after the frustration they've had to endure these last two matches.
Final whistle blows. That was Jae-Hoon Lee, by the way, with that fantastic goal to finish it off for Ulsan, their first of the tournament. This was all LAFC, though, from the jump. What an impressive performance. 5-1, your final score here today. This side from South Korea could not contain the goal-scoring presence of a number of players on this LAFC roster. Kalen Carr, your final thoughts and impressions as LAFC got things going here today after their 3-0 defeat yesterday?
Yeah, I think response is the word that stands out. From having a disappointing result, you have to put that behind you in tournament play and turn around the next day. And sometimes the best thing is to just get right back out there. I thought the first 10 minutes, they really imposed their will on the game, tilted the field, and then were able to give themselves a really good start here. So now they say, okay, clean slate, we can build in, try to get through to the knockout rounds. They've given themselves a good account of themselves, a good platform to do that. And Ulsan HD, a positive lead on for the goal. At least that gives them something, and between the two sides, you can see the good sportsmanship.
LAFC in a much better spot than they were 24 hours ago. They will have a meaningful game tomorrow. 5-1 to LAFC here today from our partner Kalen Carr. I'm AJ Ricketts. Action continues all afternoon long here from the IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida at the 2025 Generation Adidas Cup. This copyrighted broadcast of the 2025 Generation Adidas Cup may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer and Player Development, LLC.